This is a video of the process that I went to get sheet to tiller steering working very well. The boat is 25 foot long with a fin keel and a skeg hung rudder. Pretty standard underwater shape for a 35 year old boat, and quite a tall sail, a mast with quite a large sail area for a little boat like this. This is the first attempt of using sheet to tiller steering. I've tied off from the end of the boom. The control line has gone back to the port side on the push put through a block, and then back to the tiller where it's tied off with a hitch. On the other side of the tiller is the standard bungee set up for tensioning the tiller in position. She didn't hold the course particularly well. You can see the ship in the background as she heads up, and once she started to head up, she just kept going. So every now and again I had to give myself a bit of a nudge of the tiller with my foot to bring it a little bit back onto course, but I wouldn't particularly call it successful tiller control or steering. On the second attempt, I tied a line from the clew of the Genoa, brought that line back to the starboard quarter and went through a block, then up to the port quarter through a block, and then back down and tied off to the tiller with a hitch with the same bungee attachment on the other side. So, how did she sail? Not bad, but you can see the conditions there. There's almost no swell, so the waves weren't knocking her around. Did have a tendency of falling off and keep going, or heading off and keep going. I tried adjusting the tension on the bungees, and also tried adjusting the tension on the control line. And I realized that one of the problems is that the hitch on the tiller is just not adjustable enough. She did keep quite a stable course, which is not bad, but the conditions were so good that probably would have sailed this course with just the tiller tied off. So I thought, okay, got to do something about the attachment to the tiller. So from both of these two attempts, I realized that two problems I had was the hitch connecting to the tiller was not good enough. It slipped and it wasn't good enough adjustment. And also it seemed that if I had the control lines run really freely, they moved too much and too quickly, and the tiller was just moving around all over the place, which allowed it to get off course and stay off course. So the answer for the tiller is screwing a couple of cleats on it, but because it's round, there wasn't enough meat to do that. So I had to come up with a way of introducing more friction on the control line, and a way of connecting the control lines to the tiller so there are cleats and it can be adjusted. So this is what I came up with. It's a couple of blocks made out of 2x4. Internally I've cut a type of groove with the table saw, which allows it to fit quite neatly on the tiller. It's hinged with two pieces of nylon strapping and a couple of pieces of stainless to hold the strapping in place. It's held together with two pieces of 8mm stainless oil thread with knurled knobs. So you basically drop it over the tiller, tighten up the knurled knobs, and it clamps onto the tiller, and you've got a pretty solid attachment of two cam pleats, one on either side of the tiller, which allows you to connect the control lines and adjust them really accurately. In the third and finally successful attempt, I connected the line to the clew on the Genoa, brought it back to a block on the a quarter there, took it underneath the tiller so there was resistance there when it went under the tiller, over the coaming so there was resistance there, back over the coaming so there's resistance there, and then cleated it off onto the tiller. So that's the way I'd run the line. The line is very light. It's quite old line, so all the stretch is taken out of it. So that's the way the line was run. Now, the next thing is the sail trim. Everywhere I looked, the advice was balance the sails, but I balance the sails anyway. That's the way I sail with balanced sails. So I just tried attempt 1 and attempt 2 with the way I normally have the sails set and normally balanced. When I went out the third time, we were expecting heavier winds, so I went out with about a third of the Genoa rolled, and the first reef reefed into the main. The wind came up a bit, and that was the correct set of the sails. But also, I found out that having the boat under sailed was what really made the tiller to sheet to tiller steering actually work properly. So my suggestion is have less sail up than you normally would, either a smaller jib up front or a couple of rolls in the furler, and reef in the first reef in the mainsail gives you less sail up, and this works. This is the way to actually have it work. The bungees I use are exercise stretchies from the 100 yen shop here in Japan, or the dollar shop. These cost $1. I also use the same bungees for my jibe preventer.
Got anything, Lorne? We've got all the trawling lines out. We're out here fishing actually. This is a fishing day, but I thought I'd try the. My grandfather said I might catch it. Yes. I thought I'd try the tiller, the sheet to tiller steering. And so we've got a line connected to the clue of. We've still got the sheet tiller on the reciprocal tack. Here's the line coming from the clue down here past Lorne's head, down here past onto the block of the push put. And oh, look at that! We've got a Spanish mackerel in the bucket. Yay! So we don't have these lines out. Hang on, there might be another one on the line there. No. What do we have here? It's a fish. I caught one of these before. Yeah, it's a little yellowtail. Okay, we'll throw him. Oh, he's just gone. Yep, we'll throw him back. He's gone. That was fun. Drop the line back in. Got this. So back here, the line comes from the block on the pulpit. I put it under the tiller, which gives it a bit of resistance. Back to this line, over the coaming there. It just moves an inch or two either way, and then the line comes back and is on the cam cleat here. I'll give you a detail of the cam cleats there.
Okay, finally, this is the course we sailed. We came headed out to the east, turned south, sailed for about 5 miles, basically south. This is our trawling area through our fishing area. Turned around, sailed 5 miles back to the north, turned back to the west, and went into port. You can see there the course deviation. This is all under sheet to tiller steering in both the port tack and the starboard tack. As far as I'm concerned, this is a great system. You need to play around a little bit, but when you get it organized, it's really reliable, really cheap. It cost me about $30 to put together, and actually good fun. So give it a go.